Our Kurt Rivera has been following this close race and talked with both candidates recently. He joins us now from Stockton. Kurt.
Yeah, we're at the San Joaquin County election headquarters here on Weber Street in downtown Stockton, where voters continue to drop off their ballots behind me. And as you mentioned, this is expected to be a very close race between Josh Harder, the Democrat, and Tom Patti, the Republican. The 9th Congressional District is a newly redrawn district. And when Stockton Congressman Jerry McNerney decided to retire, Harder, a Turlock native, moved to Tracy and decided to run for the seat. Patti is a San Joaquin County supervisor who owns a crane business. But the election has been nasty, filled with mudslinging, especially with Harder spending millions against Patti with a number of accusations. And recently I interviewed a pair of San Joaquin Delta College professors who've been following the race very closely. Listen.
You know, the midterm, we do know midterm elections have lesser voter turnout. And that usually favors the Republicans over the Democrats. So that'll play another role in terms of the closeness of this congressional election.
Joel mentioned that they both have name recognition. People know who they are. They're both known locally. And to your question to Joel, I think, the mudslinging actually, the theory says that it's going to not have, that voters will not turn out, right? They don't like necessarily the mudslinging. So that could, in fact, depress voter turnout.
Back live now, and about 98% of the ballots in San Joaquin County are vote-by-mail ballots. So we should have a pretty good idea just how really close this election will be come 8 o'clock when the first ballots are released. The first results are released, that is, because they will all be vote-by-mail ballots. We're live in downtown Stockton. Back to you.
That is good perspective, Kurt. I know in the primary, about 91% of the ballots were vote by mail across the state, and so more people seem to be taking advantage of that option. Kurt, thank you.
We are joined now by Dr. Sirian Villavicencio, and he's a professor at San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton, is also the statewide commissioner for the California Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander American Affairs. Thank you so much for being here, Sirian. So let's start our conversation a little broader here to set our audience up for what we're going to talk about. Tell us about the impacts of the balance of power in Congress, because that's in the spotlight right now.
Yeah, thank you, Laura, for having me this evening on Election Day. It's an exciting moment for everyone. You know, Congress is up for grabs, right? If you look at the House of Representatives, Democrats only have a 5-seat lead. The Republicans on the Senate side and Democrats, they have a 50-50 tie with, of course, Vice President Kamala Harris, who's the president of the Senate, who'll cast that tie-breaking vote. So it's very important here for both political parties to turn out the vote. Traditionally, historically, the president's political party loses seats. And if voters view this as a referendum against the Democrats, against President Biden, whose job approval right now is around 41%, it may be bad news for the Democrats. But there are some key races here that we're looking at, and it can go either way here. And I think an important point for our viewers to remember is that if candidates only win 1% to 2% of the vote, there's only 100 or 1,000 votes that could swing the election in the Democrats' favor to keep Congress or have the Republicans take over Congress here. So every vote does matter.
Right, and staying in that vein, there are certain races that we're keeping our eyes on tonight in certain states, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so if we're looking at the Senate, clearly Pennsylvania is going to be a key state. Republican Pat Toomey, retired, decided not to run for re-election. And so this race is very important. Here, Mehmet Oz, who is backed by Donald Trump, who is, again, a TV personality, is going against Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, who, again, has a more blue-collar approach to his politics, as you know. This is also historic because if Mehmet Oz actually wins, he'll become the very first Muslim American, in fact, to serve on the U.S. Senate. Arizona. And very quickly, our neighbor, Nevada, your thoughts on that state, too? Kind of a sleeper state, but it may come up. Absolutely. That's Catherine Cortez Masto versus Adam Laxalt. Very important here. And I think we here in California is going to impact that race because there's few folks who have actually moved out of California, as you know. A good number of those folks are Republicans, conservatives who live at the northeastern part of our state, moved over to Nevada, here making that red a little bit more competitive here. So we'll see what the turnout will bring here between Democrats and Republicans in that key state.
All right, Dr. Syrian Villavicencio with San Joaquin Delta College, political science professor. Thank you for sharing your insights with us.
You're welcome.
Chris?
And don't forget, if you have questions about election night, you can text the number on your screen, 916-321-3310. We have people standing by to answer your questions throughout the evening.